Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and committee members. Again, this is the second bill that I'll be presenting today in our equity and justice package of bills. Again, focusing on to bring equity and justice to both our juvenile justice and our criminal justice system. I'd like to thank the committee members for their work on this bill. Today, again, I present SB 190, a bill that will help our most vulnerable children by ending the harmful, costly, and often illegal practice of charging juvenile administrative fees to families when their child is held in youth detention or youth probation. Under current state law, counties may assess juvenile administrative fees against parents or guardians of youth who are involved in the juvenile justice system. Unfortunately, some counties operate outside of the law in their assessment and collection assessment practices. There are instances where counties have failed to properly assess the family's ability to pay, charged unlawful investigation fees, and charged family fees higher than allowed by the state statutory maximums. Furthermore, many of you may or may not know that juveniles can't bail. They can't bail out of juvenile hall. So families don't have the luxury of keeping their child out of detention and yet are charged for their child's time in detention, even if once the child goes to court, they're found to be innocent. While California is not unique here, the burden of these fees are well documented in our state, with a disproportionate burden on low-income families and families of color. A statewide study by the Policy Advocacy Clinic at UC Berkeley School of Law has found these fees are harmful, often unlawful, and ultimately costly to counties. The goal, the statutory stated goal of the juvenile justice system, include preserving and strengthening family ties and facilitating the, quote, speedy reunification of the minor with his or her family, end quote. Administrative fees undermine these goals by straining family relations and harming familial economic stability. The research finds that counties often assess fees that are not authorized by state statute. Ultimately, counties obtain minimal returns despite the high fiscal and societal costs associated with their collection. The study did not find a single county in which fee practices were both fair and cost-effective. Counties either improperly charge low-income families and net minimal revenue, or they fairly assess families' inability to pay and net even less. 7 counties have recognized the consequences of these fees and have voluntarily stopped their collection practices. Today in support, I have Lupita Carbillo from the Youth Justice Coalition and Matthew Fischler of the UC Berkeley Law School's Policy Clinic. Also here for technical assistance is Stephanie Campos-Bowie of UC Berkeley's Law School's Policy Clinic. I'd ask that you allow my witnesses to testify.
Move the bill.
Whenever you're ready, young lady.
My name is Lupita Carballo. On Friday, I just graduated from high school at the Youth Justice Coalition. We are proud to be co-sponsors of Senate Bill 190. My older brother has been in and out the system since he was 10 years old. My mother is a single mom, and she has been paid thousands of dollars for fees required by the court. This has included the time when my brother was in juvenile hall, his time in probation camp, and public defender fees. I could tell how all the court fees worried her. My mom would leave the house for work at 4 a.m. and come home at 6 or 7 at night. She would just look so sad and tired. Other families have suffered even more. For example, the Pop family had a bill over $6,000. The family had already paid $3,000. When the mother was laid off from her job, she pawned all her jewelry and rented half of their house to pay probation. One mother earned $685 a month at a dry cleaner's. When her teenager son was locked up, she paid probation $50 a month for 14 months and still had $11,000 left to pay off. Over 95% of families charged probation fees by LA County were families of color. White youth are more likely to have access to pay lawyers that rush their cases through court. Poor family of color ends up paying much more for the exact same charges. This includes the Martinez and Brown family, who had to pay even though they were providing foster care for their children of other family members. In LA County, we ended the billing of families for the time in juvenile hall and probation camp, and the last month we helped to end public defender fees. I could tell how all the court fees worried her. My mom would leave the house for work at 4 a.m. and come home at 6 or 7 at night. She would just look so sad and tired. Other families have suffered even more. For example, the Pop family had a bill over $6,000. The family had already paid $3,000. When the mother was laid off from her job, she pawned all her jewelry and rented half of their house to pay probation. One mother earned $685 a month at a dry cleaner's. When her teenager son was locked up, she paid probation $50 a month for 14 months and still had $11,000 left to pay off. Over 95% of families charged probation fees by LA County were families of color. White youth are more likely to have access to pay lawyers that rush their cases through court. Poor family of color ends up paying much more for the exact same charges. This includes the Martinez and Brown family, who had to pay even though they were providing foster care for their children of other family members. In LA County, we ended the billing of families for the time in juvenile hall and probation camp, and the last month we helped to end public defender fees. But LA families still have to pay for court classes and court fines. And across the state, families in most countries are still charged thousands of dollars. We already paid for courts and juvenile halls with our taxes. Poor families are getting taxed twice. For all of these reasons, we're hoping that you vote yes on Senate Bill 190. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Matt Fischler, and I'm a second-year law student in the Policy Advocacy Clinic at UC Berkeley School of Law. Each year, California counties place tens of thousands of youth in the juvenile system. When a young person enters the system, current law authorizes counties to charge parents and guardians for costs related to legal representation, detention, and probation supervision. These administrative fees can quickly add up to thousands of dollars for a family. Over the last several years, we have carefully studied the history, administration, and impact of these fees in California. In sum, we have found that juvenile administrative fees undermine public safety and rehabilitation because they are harmful and costly. First, juvenile fees harm California families by causing financial hardship. This leads to weakening family ties and undermining family reunification, which is a critical goal for successful rehabilitation. Juvenile fees also force families to choose between paying the county and meeting basic needs, such as food, rent, and utilities. Because youth of color are more likely to be in detention or under probation supervision for longer periods of time, families of color also disproportionately bear the burden of these juvenile fees. Second, juvenile fees are costly. In all counties, collection costs exceed revenue, representing a net loss to counties. And further, in all counties, the majority of revenue pays for the staffing and infrastructure needed to try to collect these fees. And finally, juvenile fees undermine public safety. According to recent studies, juvenile fees increase the likelihood of recidivism, pushing youth and young people deeper into the juvenile system. Ending the assessment of these fees will advance the rehabilitative and public safety goals of the juvenile system while mitigating the negative consequences that such costs currently impose on individuals, families, and society. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Oh, I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay, great.
Speaking with the ACLU in support.
Thank you.
Hello, Michael Rizzo with the Anti-Recidivism in full support, and just a little.
Yeah, no, that's,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, you got time limit.
Matt Osterguy for Compton Unified School District in strong support. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Leah Burnley on behalf of Californians for Safety and Justice in support.
Thank you.
Kim McGill from the Youth Justice Coalition in strong support.
Lynn Wu from the Prison Law Office in strong support.
Sasha Lobel from the Prison Law Office in strong support.
Frankie Guzman, National Center for Youth Law in strong support.
Emily Friedman from the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, co-sponsor and strong support.
Thank you.
Mike Carroll with Western Center on Law and Poverty, also in support.
Kim Lewis representing Aspiranet and the California Coalition for Youth in support.
Melissa Immel on behalf of Mayor Edwin Lee and the City and County of San Francisco in support.
Thank you.
Nicole
Polar Knights on behalf of the California Attorneys for Criminal Justice and support.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California chapter and support.
Maureen Washburn with the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice, co-sponsor and support.
Dave Nielsen, California Alliance of Child and Family Services, strong support.
Diana Campos on behalf of the California Catholic Conference and support.
Josh Pineus, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, in support.
Glenn Backus for Drug Policy Alliance and the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights in support.
Gloria with the Youth Justice Coalition in full support.
Sawait Siem on behalf of the California Public Defenders Association and Public Interest Advocacy here in support.
Vanessa De Leon with the Youth Justice Coalition in strong support.
Patricia Song with the Children's Defense Fund, California, in strong support.
Michelle Murray with Cares for Youth in strong support.
Maddie Hyatt again for California Civil Liberties Advocacy in strong support.
Joe Ruano, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, strongly support.
Sandra Johnson, a member of All of Us and None, in strong support.
Louis Brown Jr. on behalf of Policy Link and the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color in strong support.
Lexi Howard, Juvenile Court Judges of California, a section of the California Judges Association, in support.
Wesley Edwards with the League of Women Voters of California in strong support.
Akila Ochoa, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, strong support.
Jim Lindberg on behalf of the Friends Committee on Legislation of California in support.
Joseph Johnson, All of Us and None, LSPC, strong support.
Marcus McKinney, Legal Services for Prisoners for Children, strong support.
Biliana Lopez with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, in support.
Thank you. Any witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, any questions from committee members? Right. Then, was there a motion? Yes, second it, and you may close.
Just wanted to congratulate Ms. Carbillo for her high school graduation and hope that she will find her way to the UC Berkeley Law School's Public Policy Clinic sooner rather than later. And with that, colleagues, I ask for your aye vote.
Yes, and I concur. She did an excellent job speaking here today. And there's definitely USC School of Law, so don't believe that.
Yeah, touche. Since it's in my district, I would agree with you, sir.
And Assemblymember Gonzalez Fletcher says there's also the Stanford School of Law. So, so the chair is recommending an aye vote.
The motion is due pass to appropriations. SB 190. Jones Sawyer.
Aye.
Jones Sawyer. Aye. Lackey.
Aye.
Lackey. Aye. Flora. Flora. Aye. Gonzalez Fletcher. Gonzalez Fletcher. Aye. Rubio. Santiago.
That measure passes. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.